Thank you so much, David. That was a really, really exciting presentation. So I think we'll move on to our last presenter now. Nori Muster, who is presenting on long-term statistics of school dreams.
Hey everyone, thank you for having me at your group. I am going to open up my school dreams thing. There we go. Okay, so I have a dream. I've kept a dream journal continuously since 1979, and at that time I was in the Hare Krishna movement for 10 years after college. And so I kept a journal. I always kept a journal, but when I joined, they made me throw everything away, you know, my old journals, pictures, anything I had before I joined. But then I had to I had to get permission to keep a journal, and there was only certain things I could write down. So I really only started to record my dreams in 1985. So I started like way into the experience. I left in 88. So the first year I decided to do a study. I've typed all my journals into the computer so I could study them. And I decided to look for the word school, because a lot of people have school dreams, and you know, they can be anxiety dreams or they could be literal dreams. And I just wanted to see if I had more dreams with the word school in it during certain years. So I think because I had such a different number of dreams, this is the total number of dreams for each of these years. I usually dreamed every night, 1 or 2 dreams every night. So so the first year, 1985, I had not been in school since before I joined the Hare Krishnas. So I graduated from UC Santa Barbara in 1978. So that was like way back here somewhere. So I didn't have a lot of school dreams. I had 5%. I had 6 dreams out of 113. 5% of my dreams were about school. Then sort of the same here, 7%. And then in 87 and 88, I was attending UCLA part-time, just taking writing classes. So I got a lot more school dreams this year, but not this year. And I was continuing to go to UCLA. And then I went to graduate school full-time, and I had the highest number of school dreams that year. So out of 782 dreams, I had 110 mentioned the word school, just the keyword school, not textbook, classroom, professor. I didn't want to count like all those different words, just because so many people have words about, you know, dreams with the word school in it. And then this year, 1991, I was mostly taking, you know, practicum and thesis. So I didn't really have that many classroom classes, which may account for why I had less school dreams. And also I graduated in the middle of that year. So I wasn't in school the last 6 months of 91. So I have to move this over a little bit. Okay. So I got a couple of dreams. This is one from 1985. This is one of the 6 dreams I had in 85. I was at school. It was in the country. I saw people I used to know and who used to know each other, who also knew me. So that earlier presentation about isolation and whether you dream about people in isolation, I used to have when I was first in the Hare Krishna movement, or really all the years I was in it, I had a lot of dreams about my old friends, even though I didn't see them, because the Hare Krishnas wanted you to get rid of all your friends that you knew before you joined. So then I just kind of made a list of when I was in school. I was in UCSB, then I was in UCLA, then I was in Western Oregon State College and Merrillhurst College, where I learned art therapy. And then after that, I got into art school for a couple years, and then I was in real estate school, and I've taught real estate at a community college since then. So there were only a few years where I wasn't in school. So I just took those first few years because it showed the most contrast. Here's another non-literal. This one was actually I had been in real estate school, but I wasn't currently enrolled in real estate school when I had this dream. But I had just quit a job that was really hectic, managing an apartment building. So the dream was I go to school, but I have too many classes. Some are scheduled at the same time. I rush to do everything at once. I fall behind in one class especially. Can't get to it, can't find the books, have to cram for the exam, hope to get at least a C in some of the classes I've been skipping. And then in the daytime notation, I said that I thought that dream must be because I just quit my hectic job. Then I did a study of the literal dreams I had during graduate school, where I really did dream just like totally literal dreams. Like if you have a dream, like say like you during the daytime, you go to a lake and you go on a boat. And then that night you have a dream that you go to a lake and you're on a boat. You know, it was that kind of literal. So right after registration, one semester usually I would take 3 hard classes and an art class or something like that. But this one semester I had to take 4 academic classes to be able to get my units I needed. And one of them was statistics. So I had this dream right after registration. I go to school, I have 4 classes. I need to get all organized, find out what I need to write for each class, etc. Then I ended up really liking statistics class, which is why I'm here with the statistics. So one dream I had, the dream record just said, a dream about measurements, statistics, how far off something is from the middle, etc. So that was the bell curve, probably about the bell curve. And then I had another literal dream. I'm in school, a lesson on statistics. So those are the school dreams. So I guess at the end, if you have questions about my school dreams, we can jot them down, because I'm going to go off into another section here where I'm going to talk about the dream journal and a little bit more about it. Okay, so I started keeping it in 1979 as soon as I had permission to do it from the authority figures in the Hare Krishna temple. And then I ended up becoming a writer for them. My job for the Hare Krishnas was to be a writer. So at a certain point, I just kind of broke free of their rules. I got permission to record all my dreams. I got permission to write whatever I wanted to in my journal. And I just really went into it. And it was a lot of notebooks. My dream journal was handwritten in 285 notebooks. So that's like 2 stacks like this high of notebooks, which half of I have in my closet right now. But normally they're kept at UC Santa Barbara Special Research Collections in a warehouse on a shelf. I typed up with a grant from DSF, a seed money grant. I was able to begin typing the notebooks in 2018. And I did that at UCSB, and then they kind of took pity on me and let me take the notebooks home. So actually I've had them for 2 years because of the COVID shutdown. And I was able to complete the typing in the middle of last year. And then I typed up the last year recently. So these are the numbers for the entire journal. Covers 42 years. My age is 23 to 65, 285 notebooks, 7,443 daytime notations, 12,035 dreams, 691 dream sketches, 2,800,000 and something words. And if that was put onto pages, it would of about 250 words per page, it would be 11,500 pages. And I don't think I'll ever print that out. That's a lot of paper. The main thing that I've coded for, because I found that I had the same characters in my dreams over all these years, and I still know most of these people, because when I was a Hare Krishna, you weren't really allowed to be friends with someone from the outside world unless you thought they might join. So, but I dreamed about them, and you can see, well, these were my best friends, Kyle, Carrie, Jan, and Jolie, people I knew since grammar school, mostly. Jan, I knew all my life. So I would have like mostly dreams about these people. Just on part one, part one is, I divided the journal into two parts. Part one was my 20s and 30s when I was still kind of Hare Krishna-ish. And then my 40s, 50s, and 60s would be my second half of life, where I was able to break away from the group and sort of have my own life, you know, not based on being a cult member. So in part one, though, of each one, most of my notations about these people were in terms of dreams. So Kyle, I had 362 dreams about him during those years. Carrie, mostly dreams. Jan, mostly dreams. And Jolie, almost all dreams. And then later in life, I looked back at it and I said, well, you know, now I still know these people, but we don't have that, I don't have that isolation factor where I'm really dependent on them and tended to dream about them. The next group of dream characters that have stayed constant throughout my life were my father, mother, brother, aunt, and cousin. And those are actually my closest relatives. I grew up with my cousin, my aunt, and then of course my mother, father, and brother. And I had really high numbers for all of them too. So my father was in my life when I was a Hare Krishna. So it was like 50-50. And then he died. I still dreamed about him though. In my 40s, I still had a lot of dreams, less, and then less in my 60s, because he's been gone for 30 years now. My mother's still around. And when I was a Hare Krishna, I didn't see her very much. So I didn't really have very many daytime notes about her, but I did dream about her a lot. Same for my brother. I didn't really see him that much when I was a Hare Krishna. Same for my aunt. I dreamed about her a lot, but I didn't see her a lot. And my cousin. And then the dreams about the Hare Krishna people, my husband, who I had a good person. My husband was a good person, is a good person. A lot of women in the Hare Krishna movement got married to men that abused them. And so they had really bad experiences, but I had a relatively good experience in the group. And so, you know, I had 900 dreams about him. Then we got divorced. I had fewer dreams about him then after that, but we're still friends and I still see him and I still know him. Steve G, Steve H. I think Steve H is an example of someone that I didn't really dream about a lot and I didn't really write about a lot, but I think that was because he was more of like just kind of a good friend and we didn't have any conflicts or drama or anything. My boss, Mukunda, you can see how he really dropped off from when I was in the group to now. I still know him, but I don't, you know, he's not a big concern to me anymore. And then these last three people, I've not really been in touch with them at all since I left the Hare Krishnas. So, all this is on my website at surrealist.org/dreams. I put it on this morning. So, because there's not that much, I've got 5 minutes left. So I just wanted to kind of run through some more things about the journal. I took pictures of the complicated pages with sketches or complicated notations. These are dream sketches. Like this is one I dreamed I had to dive into the pool to get a bracelet before it went down the pool drain. This is of a beach cottage. So more dreams, dream drawings. These were from my real estate days when I was selling houses. That was doing a real estate deal. That's the SPUDS diploma, seller property disclosure statement. More dreams about, there's my dad. He wanted me to, my dad had been gone for a long time by that. And these are just more dream drawings. which you can look at later, because I guess I'm kind of running out of time for what I want to show you. This was a literal dream. I bought a condo and I moved in October 19th, and I had this dream on the 21st, measuring windows in my new condo. Another thing I used my journal for was copy drawing. When I was going to quit chanting, they used to have us chant quite a bit, and it took a lot of energy for me to finally quit. But I decided, instead of just chanting, I would just draw pictures. So I would find like a collage piece and tape it in one side of the notebook, and then I would copy draw it on the next page. So I had a lot of those. I had like 12 notebooks where I would do this. I would just sit there and draw, copy what I was looking at. And I started doing that on our trip to India, because we took my father's ashes to India, and I read that book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. No, Drawing the Natural Way is what it was called. So I would draw the human skeleton for doing figure drawing. I practiced my Sanskrit letters in my journal. Another thing I would do back then, when I was in my 30s, was I would go sit in the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, and I would sit in their permanent collections of the Hindu deities and the Christian icons, and I would just sit there and sketch these items that they had in their collections. And you know, so I had those notebooks from that time period, mostly sketches. They had a traveling Kandinsky exhibit that had 15 wall-size Kandinsky improvisations, which are compositions, which were my favorite Kandinsky. So I would just sit in front of those giant paintings and try to, you know, sketch one little corner of it. And then the last page, what time is it? Okay, this page just shows, you know, typical pages from the journal. So I did a lot of this, which I call cluster thought webs. And those were hard to type because they were so weird. So like something like that was easy, but then you'd have to do that. It would take a little extra time to explain, like that was, this was actually a dream drawing, but sometimes I would do the dream drawings a couple times. That would be an easy page to type. That looks a little harder, but it wasn't that bad. If it was just writing, it was easier to type because you didn't have to stop and explain what was going on the page. So those were just typical pages. Then I had some pages that were just drawings. Those were easy. I would just kind of describe the drawing in brackets. That was hard to type. That was hard to type. That was kind of hard to type. Okay, so this is the last page, and then we can do questions if anyone has questions. So this is what I called Noriland drawings. And when I was a teenager, I was a very isolated, shy, frightened teenager, basically. And I did this giant mural with these islands on it. So I think that kind of represented my feelings of isolation, where people were just separated like that. So when I went to art school, my teacher wanted me to explore that some more, and she wanted me to put creatures on my islands. So she directed me to her art library, and she helped me discover this artist called Desmond Morris. And so I copied his stuff. You can see I copied the cover of his book there. And then I kind of developed my own Noriland creatures. And then I started having dreams about the Noriland creatures, actually. And that picture of Noriland creatures was in the gallery last year. And then this one is, that one was going to be in the gallery, but it went in a different art show. This was the series of Noriland dreams that I did at art school when I was there. That's a classic Noriland island, but with creatures. This is the one that's in the art show here this year. Yeah, okay, that's it. So I'm gonna stop share. Okay.
So much for sharing that, Nori. That's an incredible amount of work. So it's nice that we can go look at it ourselves. I see Ash has a question.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Nori, for detailed expanse of your life. And I was just wondering, what was the impetus behind capturing your dreams as you did for such a long duration? Thank you.
Oh, I've thought about that a lot. Thank you. Because, you know, like they say, not very many people keep a dream journal for very long. I thought everybody did, for one thing, because I would read these books for writers. I read back then, I read a whole lot of books about writing, and they'd all say to keep a dream journal. So I just thought everyone did it. But also, I think because the Hare Krishnas told me not to do it, like I was not allowed to take, they just said, oh, your dreams are just from something you ate at night and they don't mean anything and just let it go. Because I think they didn't want people to be in touch with what was going on inside. They just wanted you to be kind of a drone and work for the organization. But then when I finally got permission to do the dreams, because I was having a lot of dreams about my old friends, and I would wake up feeling a lot of anxiety. And I know now that was just literal, because I missed my friends. I had to cut off everyone in my life to be a Hare Krishna. And so I felt like once I got permission to write my dreams and write whatever I wanted in my journal, I just did it. And it was like a rebellion, like it just became a thing that I did. And also because I'm a writer, so a lot of the writing that I did, like all those cluster thought webs and charts and things I made, were usually for something I was writing or working on. So yeah, and it's just a habit I've had. I still do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Thanks. Go ahead, Jonas.
Jonas?
Then thank you for your talk, and I was especially impressed by the surrealistic creatures. That was very great. But what I wanted to say is, so at the beginning, it was very obvious that the percentage of the school dreams were, I would say, relatively low. I'm wondering about it, because when I remember when I was in school or studying, so I had them mostly every day or mostly every second day, and mostly it was such a mix out of all schools or universities I've ever been. And mostly there were also shops into the school buildings and so on, or living rooms and so on. Yeah, and because of this, I was wondering a bit that it was relatively low then.
I agree. Well, it's because I was only searching for the keyword dream, but I had a lot of dreams about going to the library or being on campus, or, you know, when I was doing my practicum, I worked at a juvenile reform school. I had dreams about the kids I worked with practically every night. But those dreams didn't include the keyword school. So this was just for that word, and the only reason I did it that way was because I felt like, you know, everyone has school dreams. Like I started to think there's two kinds of dreams, like there's your symbolic dreams and your literal dreams. And so I wanted to find out if you had more dreams with the word school while literally in school. And I did find that there were more dreams with that key word in it during that 1 year when I was enrolled full-time for the whole year. But I also wrote, you know, during the last year, I've done a lot of writing about the journal, just writing about my friends that I knew and what they were like. And, you know, and I wrote a sort of a series about leaving, you know, how I left the temple, and then my father died, And then I went into graduate school really soon after that. So I wrote those 3 sections out, and I picked out all the literal dreams having to do with, you know, leaving the temple, or actually it was about the deities, because I had a lot of dreams about Krishna and about Jagannath, who's another form of Krishna, and other deities, you know, Shiva Lingam or Shalagram Shilas and other kinds of deities. So I had those literal dreams. And then when my father was dying, I had a lot of literal dreams about that. He had cancer for 2.5 years. And especially toward the end, it was just like, you know, like I said before, like if you have a literal dream, like I went to a lake and went on a boat, and then I had a dream where I went to a lake and went on a boat. So it was like that with my dad when he was dying, where we would talk and then I would have a dream almost exactly literal to what the experience was. And then when I was in grad school, I hardly wrote any daytime notations because I was writing a lot. All the graduate classes, you had to write, you know, 1 or 2 papers, a midterm and a final paper. So I really didn't have time to write in my journal, and I didn't feel the need to, but I recorded all my dreams. And I had, you know, back then I could remember several dreams a night. So I went through all the dreams and I picked out the ones that I felt were literal. And it was really pretty shocking, like how much I dreamed about school. Like you said, like you would dream about it every day, but it wasn't necessarily using the word school as a key word in the dream.
Okay, thank you. Very informative.
Yeah. So anyways, so it's been a really good adventure. I'm really excited. You know, I met when I first got, you know, because UC Santa Barbara has a huge collection of cult material. It used to be called the J. Gordon Melton Collection, but now it's called the American Religions Collection, ARC. And so when I offered them my stuff, they're like, oh, when, you know, do you want to give it now or when you die? And I'm like, take it now. So I shipped like 30 boxes of, I had a lot of documentation from the book I wrote and things like that. And then the curator said, do you have a diary? Do you keep diary? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, we want that too. And I was like, okay. So I checked with my publisher, you know, I thought maybe I should censor it. And my publisher said, just give it to them. That's what they want. They want the whole thing uncensored. So I just sent them like another 10 boxes of notebooks. And so ever since then, I've just kept sending them my diaries. And I don't think I would have kept them if I had to keep them because they take up a lot of space and I've moved a lot and it would have been, I'm really glad they have it. So then I thought, well, there's just all these things just sitting on the shelf, you know, somewhere, you know, all these dreams, what I should do something with the dreams. And then that was when I met Michael Schredel and Bill Domhoff and, you know, they did that blind study on my dreams and stuff like that. So I'm just really grateful that there is a use for dreams because otherwise they would just be going to waste, I guess. Anyways, so I guess we're up to the break now, unless anyone has.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice point to end on. Thank you for sharing that. It was really nice. And it was, all of our presenters were really great. So we are at time for this session, but we'll be back in half an hour for another session, those of you who want to join. So thanks again, everyone. Hope to see you.
Thanks, everybody.